No. So we will move on to section 7, urgent items not included in the agenda. Have any urgent items? Mr. Myers.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, we do. Through you, Mayor, Councillor Rogers has raised an urgent business item which has been approved by the CEO. So I'm requesting that we raise a matter of urgent business with the Council under section 6.6 of the Governance Rules. And it's up to you to...
Thank you, Mr. Myers. I've also reviewed the request for urgent business and believe that it is valid urgent business. So I'll invite Councillor Rogers if you could explain your urgent business, and then we'll hear the motion from you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. We've got a significant rally down in Melbourne today, and this is appropriate to that rally where hundreds of fire trucks and State Fire Brigade fighters are attending. So last week the State Government passed a bill, the Emergency Services Volunteer Fund, which will increase the state taxes, particularly in rural areas, and charge it through our council. There has been overwhelming rejection and anger from all our communities and neighbouring municipalities. This is nothing but another excessive tax grab targeting rural, honest working farming and business communities to fund major state budget shortfalls. Our communities pay enough and our hard-earned taxes go to federal governments to be distributed out to the state governments. If the Allen State Government wants more, they should seek it from their federal counterparts who have plenty of our taxes and not double tax us. The Allen Government do not even have the guts to administer the charges and debt collections for their tax and unfairly legislate council to do their dirty work, placing pressure on local people. The State Revenue Office should be collecting the taxes, not the councils who receive no benefit from this unfair tax. Our state roads have fallen into complete disrepair through lack of funding and neglect, putting our road safety at risk, yet we see enormous spending splurges and wasteful rorts spent in metropolitan Melbourne. Our services have seen declining state contributions over the years, such as libraries and school crossing supervisors, and the state caps council's revenue under inflation to assist with the cost of living for Victorians, and then does this. We experience poor rail services and bad maintenance to the disgrace of seeing our train engine disconnect itself from the carriages recently, leaving passengers stranded on the rail line. We have to fund our own hospital MRI machine. Our communities are fed up with being overlooked and neglected. Our Australian culture, goodwill between neighbours and community members brought now into conflict by unwanted power lines, wind towers, and now the gall to tax the volunteers and farmers who work so hard putting food on your table and then volunteering their time to protect and help people in desperate need, now to be slugged for it. I strongly believe that urgent business is needed to inform the Allen Government they must repeal this abhorrent tax on our good-minded volunteers and our hard-working community. It will tax our communities an additional $2 million per year. We already are paying $3.6 million of the state taxes for this existing fire services levy. This tax is being charged through councils, which is not a transparent tax and places the burden, distrust and anger at the council. Our communities will not benefit from the additional tax, which the state is using to fix its budget problems. I'd like to put an emergency motion to reject the new tax, please. We need to stand up and support our community. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Rogers. I'll invite councillors if they have any questions before we get to the motion. If there's no questions, as I said earlier, I will accept the urgent business, agreeing that this is urgent business because this legislation was passed on Thursday night after the agenda had been prepared, so it's not reasonable that this could have been included in the agenda, and hence it meets the requirements to be accepted as urgent business. And deferring the item until the next meeting would mean that essentially a decision made today would have no impact whatsoever in another month's time. So I believe it is urgent business. So Councillor Rogers, I will ask you to put a motion forward in relation to your urgent business. If you could read your motion, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I put forward a motion that Council write to a letter to the Allen Government and, number one, tell them that this state tax is abhorrent, inadequate and unfair, which will take an additional $2 million from everyone in the municipality, with farmers and industrial ratepayers losing the most. Number two, call on the state government to repeal this decision. Number three, call on the state government to administer their own tax collection, administration and debt collection. I welcome all councillors' support and amendments to this motion if they would like. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rogers. Do I have a seconder for Councillor Rogers' motion? Councillor Englefield. Thank you. Councillor Rogers, do you wish to speak further to the motion?
No further. That's pretty much said it all.
Thank you, Councillor Rogers. Councillor Englefield, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yeah, it's apparent from particularly rural Victoria that everyone considers the unfairness and the inequity in this proposal, well, not what is not now a proposal, what is in fact a law, which was passed last Thursday night. I always was under the impression that the state government had a duty to provide community-based services to the community at large via their taxation and revenue-raising levers. And the change to this to include the funding of 000 Emergency Management Victoria and some fund that's supposed to be going to go to volunteers, I would have thought is a broad-based community objective that should have been funded out of general revenue. And then on top of that bad decision, the decision to increase the levy particularly for the farmers across the state and our region to by, I believe, something in the order of 180 odd %, when farming and in particular, like households, are facing a cost of production crisis, is particularly galling. And I would very much support Councillor Rogers' motion in appealing to the Allen State Government to take up their obligations to the community and fund these types of activities out of general revenue as they should.
Thank you, Councillor Englefield. Does anybody wish to speak against the motion? Does anybody else wish to speak to the motion? Thank you. Councillor Thornton.
Wanted to add, having attended the Municipal Associations Victoria State Council on Friday, and thereby being aware of considerable advocacy work that's been done through MAV and other organisations that represent the municipalities across Victoria. And so acknowledge that work, acknowledge that there has been a lot of discussions and negotiations between that organisation and the state government. Several consolidated motions were passed at that forum, and I understand that there will be ongoing conversations between the state government and those organisations. Notwithstanding, it is now legislation, and it would certainly seem that there's a cost shifting going on, and that something that's been funded from general revenue is now, they're looking to fund it via this new means, and that is a huge concern for us in the country. Clearly extreme weather is costing a lot and will continue to cost a lot, but I don't see the need for a new tax to be imposed that will particularly impact on our rural communities. So, yeah, there's a huge issue here to be watching, and this council, I'm sure, will be watching it and doing all we can to get the best outcome for the community. I will note that the negotiations as it passed through the Parliament last week did did negotiate a reduction in the amount that will be charged to farmers, and also a rebate available for the volunteers who volunteer for the CFAs and for drought-affected farmers. So some good negotiations did occur, more to be done there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Thornton. Does anybody else wish to speak to the motion? If not, I will put the motion. All those in favour? The motion is carried unanimously. Thank you.